Hey, what's up? I'm X, and welcome back to the 4 Idiots series, the series where I teach you how to do bosses as quickly as possible in RuneScape. Please like, comment, or sub. You have to pick one. Today, we're covering the Maggot King. To fight the Maggot King, you need to have completed the Blood Moon Rises quest. For gear, you're going to want your strongest melee setup with an emphasis on crush damage as well as a good range or mage setup. They're pretty comparable depending on what gear you have. If you'd like to use a range setup, I'd recommend a crossbow with Ruby Bolt's E. For mage, he's weak to fire spells, so a twin flame staff all the way up to a harmonized staff works great, or a shadow if you've got one. If you're using range, bring thralls and death charge. For your inventory, you're going to want something to boost your range or mage, a super combat potion, something to cure venom or sand fuse in place of your restores and prayer potions. Bring some good food, and for a spec weapon, you can either bring in a cursed scepter, elder maul, dragon warhammer, or a zerite crossbow, or even a crystal halberd. You'll have to decide what works for you based on your gear. Bring a Draken's Medallion, and I'd advise that you use a shift click or left click option to teleport to Verse and Haza in case of emergencies. Also bring some kind of bow, ideally that doesn't require arrows for one of his attacks. Here are 3 very different price points and strategies that I've been using. To get here, you'll want to take the Draken's Medallion to Castle Draken, head through the portal, and head east to this rock slide here and take it down. If it's your first time here, you're going to want to follow this forest all the way down here and save this guy from getting mogged by those mosquitos. Afterwards, talk to him and he'll escort you from this area from now on. Make your way through this path to this cave here. The fight will start right away, so don't go in if you're not ready. Starting in your ranged gear, enter in Prey Range and Rigor and move yourself to this far corner. Every auto attack he hits you with will also drop poison or acid with 1 drop on your tile and 2 drops being adjacent to you. Moving 2 tiles will always dodge them. Standing on them isn't a big deal and it's very small damage, but the acid splats will reduce your attack and strength. Hit him and your acid formations will be up to you, but it's been popular to keep the front row clear and keep the acids to the sides. Every couple of attacks he'll start to have wind surrounding him. When he does this, make sure you have no overhead prayers on or you will take a lot of damage. When you go to turn your prayer back on, pray mage. After these sequences, he will begin alternating his attack types, so for the first pray mage and so on and so forth. If you're unsure what phase he was just on, I like to use the floor splats as an indicator. If he has a lot of green ones ranged on the ground, then it's now probably mage, yellow. He will also toss out these brown rocky things, which on first impact will hurt if it lands on you, but the subsequent splitting is not an issue. Under 1250 HP, this attack will now be accompanied by a maggot larvae flying in. I'd recommend tagging them as they can be tough to see. If you equip your bow and shoot them in midair, they will always die. If they land, however, they will occupy a row and walk back and forth. If they touch you, they will do small amounts of damage and heal, and it really can add up. I'd recommend only really killing the ones that occupy the front row with a strong crush weapon. They seem to be particularly weak to this. Or you could fire blast them or whatever works for you. You can also tile skip over them, but it's just one extra thing to deal with and it really adds up. Carry on this process until he reaches less than 1000 HP, at which point he will add his scariest attack in, but also your biggest DPS. He will approach you in melee distance and center you to him, at which point a line of shadows will appear and you will take massive damage. If you're there when he does this. Put your best melee gear on and your strongest weapon, it doesn't matter how slow it is. People have been using Darok here for bigger numbers. When you see the shadow, run 2 tiles to the right or the left. Don't worry about avoiding the floor acid, it's really negligible damage. Then when he extends his neck out to you, click him and click onto the tile next to you and click him again. That looks like this. You will get instant attacks for performing this punish. It might take a second to get used to, and you'll know you're doing it right when you get 2 hits per extension. When he has the winds around him, again, he will start to back up, so shoot the bug out of the air and continue on with range. When under 300 HP or so, he will no longer be going out of melee distance. This is his enrage phase. Just carry on like you were doing before for the other melees. I like a Blood Fury here for these melee phases, as the more comfortable you are, the more that these will just heal you all the way to full and the longer your trips will be. When the boss dies, you have a right-click option to either loot or sacrifice for better pet odds. I think that we should all loot in protest of these sacrifice for pet mechanics. And I also hope that you get the items you're going for when you do that, and I will see you in the next one. Goodbye.